Okay, friends, one after the other, we are finishing many chapters. Let us start with Sunny Morning, the fifth play, the fifth lesson in your textbook. It's a play. It's actually, it was in Spanish and later on it was been translated. This play is supposed to be a very comedy kind of play, which has a lot of humor in it, and it tells us how people after a certain age try to become more and more mature. They forget all the mistakes or the crush they have in their yesteryears, in their golden teenage period. This this play was written by Serafin and Joaquin Quinter. These two are Spanish brothers, and they had introduced lot of humor into the play. Wherever they wrote, whatever creativity they had, that had lot of humor in it, and therefore they were more creative in giving the best of the best plays for the Spanish theatre. Therefore, they were called as the Golden Boys of Madrid Theatre. This one, it talks about something of that kind only, with lot of humor, with lot of fun in it, and lot of fun-filled activities. We have several characters in this play. Mainly, the two characters are Don Gonzalo and Donna Laura. When the play begins, we have both of them in their 70s, mid-70s. Both of them are very elderly people. Donna Laura is introduced to us first. She comes into a park on a sunny morning. This elderly lady, along with her maid, she comes into the park. She wants to spend some time in the park, and because she is an elderly woman, she has natural affinity and kind-heartedness towards the birds over there. So she just gets the crumbs of bread. She has it in a big cover, and she comes there. She tries to feed the pigeons that are there. And while this activity is happening, her maid, she just goes away, and again the pun there, the guard of the park would be waiting for the for Laura's assistant maid. So she says, "You go, your guard is waiting for you, and then come back, but please be within the reach. Whenever I have to call out for you, you have to come back. So just go, spend some time with your guard and come back." So while her assistant Petra, she just goes away, Laura is very busy feeding the pigeons. She's so acquainted with the pigeons that she knows every pigeon by their character. Every day she seems to meet the same pigeons every time, and then she knows who is a glutton. She keeps on describing the pigeons. She says this is a very timid one, this is a kind of priest kind of thing, a priest kind of bird, which is more composed and pious and all those things. So from this activity of hers, we understand in her 70s, she has a kind of a compassionate and kind-hearted nature towards other creatures, also towards the people and towards other creatures in the park. Otherwise also, generally she is a compassionate person. When she is very busy feeding the pigeons, and she is involved in her talk to herself, describing the pigeons, suddenly there appears a man. An old man. Don Gonzalo is his name. He is also in his 70s. There is a contrast of nature between these two characters. Donna Laura in her 70s is described as a very pretty woman. Even in her 70s, she has a very refined look. Her age, it speaks. She's grown old gracefully, and age has not disturbed her mental faculties. Because of the age, she has not become short-tempered. She is still calm and composed. As I told you, she has grown old with grace. And she is mature enough to understand the people, mature enough to understand the needs and necessities of the people. She is a well-mannered, kind, considerate, and a humorous person. We'll talk about the humor of Donna Laura a little later. She is kind and considerate. We have seen this when she is speaking to the pigeons. She is feeding the pigeons. She is also considerate. She understands that her maid Petra, she needs some company, because Petra is a very young girl and she needs to go and talk to her guard, her friend. So she just understands the age and she just lets her off. We have Don Gonzalo who comes there, who also is an elderly person, but his character is quite contrast to Donna Laura's character. He, in his 70s, is a very short-tempered man. He wants everything to happen according to his wishes. He doesn't want anybody to take away his belongings or even the seat. He is more kind of childlike. He is gouty in nature. Gouty, he has a problem, his legs, his knees, they have a crumb. They are not very flexible and he cannot walk properly. Gout is a disease that elderly people get and they cannot walk properly. It pains for them, especially the joints of the leg, it starts paining. They can't just move freely at all. So that is gout, and because of this, Gonzalo has a very staggering and swayy movement. He is not very comfortable walking at all. He just pulls his leg and just makes a lot of noise and just creates a cloud of dust. So that is gout, and he walks in a gouty fashion. Probably because of this gout, probably because of his less weak eyesight, he has become lot of impatient. He cannot tolerate people making noise. He cannot understand people that he cannot understand the park is a public place. Anybody and wherever they want they can sit. He is not able to judge all those things. So he has become impatient. So we'll talk about the last point little later. It will come little later. So these are the characters that we've seen in Don Gonzalo when he enters. He just enters the park in a very gouty fashion. He is very angry because his seat, the regular seat, he had been sitting all the time, was already occupied by 3 priests. And these 3 priests, they want to sit there and chat for a long time. But Gonzalo, he doesn't want these priests to sit there. In fact, he starts mocking at them. He says, why don't these priests go away and say their mass, say their prayers, instead of preaching? What are these people sitting and chatting here in the park? So he just goes to that level of commenting the priests also. Don Gonzalo is disturbed. He wants his assistant, his help, to just help them moving on, hushing off these priests. The assistant, he says, no, it cannot be done. So he just moves around everywhere in the park. He finds no place to sit at all. Finally, he gets one place, and that place is the same bench where Donna Laura is sitting. So he just comes. He's not bothered that there is a big swarm of, a big bunch of pigeons which are feeding on the breadcrumbs that Laura has put lovingly to them. He just walks midway amidst the group and he scares them away. The birds just fly off. Laura is disturbed by this. She doesn't like somebody disturbing these kind animals, these sort of papa kind of animals are, they're not, they're disturbed unnecessarily, so she doesn't like it. And this makes her more and more impatient, and she starts hating this man, whoever he is. He's just come and he's disturbed her birds, and which were feeding on the breadcrumbs innocently. So she develops a kind of hatredness towards this man. She doesn't like that man sitting next to her. But anyway, as I told you, she is a matured woman. She doesn't want to create any hustle. She doesn't want to create any fuss. So just she keeps quiet. Don Gonzalo sits there. He talks and Laura, she starts a conversation. She says, good afternoon, how are you, and all those things. Gonzalo doesn't bother to answer, and he takes out his book. He wants to read a book. He takes out a book, and then along with the book, he takes out his spectacles and also his reading glasses, the big reading glasses he takes out. And then adjusting both the glasses, he reads out the book. 20 years ago, and he starts reading the book. Looking at the way Gonzalo wants to read a book, Laura, she bursts out into laughter. She says, oh, I thought you were doing, taking out a telescope. It's just a lens. It's just a glass that you are taking out. and both of them, they start talking to each other. Laura, in fact, she says that book. In fact, Gonzalo, he appreciates Laura. They start and they want to talk. He appreciates Laura for having a very good eyesight. They just want, there's a lot of nagging and leg pulling and mocking at each other. Finally, Gonzalo is sometimes kindled by Laura, saying, how do you spend your time? How do you kill your time? So Laura and Gonzalo says, I used to kill long time ago. I had a beautiful eyesight. Now I have nothing to kill. So she says, she mocks and says, oh, so you kill only time right now. And so that kind of mockery and all those happen. And Gonzalo, I told you, he has a habit of taking snuff, sniffing the snuff. He just sniffs and he offers the same snuff to Laura also. She also wants it and she also takes a pinch of snuff. Okay, and Donna Laura takes a pinch of snuff from Gonzalo. They both sniff the snuff and they both sneeze simultaneously. In fact, alternately they sneeze, once Gonzalo, once Laura, and they do it 3 times, It is just given as a number. So this number has nothing to do with any kind of superstitious beliefs and all those things. One after the other they sneeze, and it is said that this pinch of snuff brings about a friendship between the two. In the beginning of the play, we have Don Gonzalo and Donna Laura, in fact, literally fighting with each other. They are not considerate about each other's qualities. Laura doesn't like Gonzalo dusting up the whole place, and then first of all she is irritated by him throwing away the pigeons. All these, that had a kind of fight between the two. Pinch of snuff brings about peace between them. So this peace is brought about, P-E-A-C-E. Peace is brought about by a pinch of snuff, and both of them, they start becoming friends. They start talking about something common between the two, and that is reading books. So Gonzalo, as I told you, he takes out his book. He wants to read, and then he reads out with big glasses and all. They start talking about the poets of the 19th century. The Spanish poets, they talk one after the other. They give out some names, and finally one name. That's why I'm just not telling you the names of all those things. One name catches the attention, and he says, see, I'm not very old, but I know certain poets. Personally, I know, I have met them. But I have met one person called Campomaur in Valencia. I have met that person in Valencia. The name Valencia, it suddenly strikes into Laura's mind, because that is a place common to both of them. So they both are from the same place, Valencia. They know Valencia very well. So that's why I've just kept all the other names passive. I don't want to talk about their names because it's very confusing. So Campomaur was one person whom Gonzalo knew, and he had met him in Valencia. Valencia is a place, is the name of a place, and there was the castle called as a Marisela. So once he mentions Valencia, Laura's, her thoughts, they start wavering back. She moves back in her thought. She understands that this person also knows about something that had happened in this place, Valencia, and in the castle, castle of Marisela. So she says, how do you know that? Both of them, they do not want to give out their true identity. They want to hide their identity, and they start just trying to patch up that both of them know Valencia very well. So he says, no, one of my cousin, he stayed in Valencia, and I know Valencia very well. So Laura also, she says, yes, my friend, she stayed in Valencia, and they talk about the castle called the Marisela. Marisela is a castle over there. Castle is a very big building kind of thing. So yeah, Valencia, I know, the Marisela is that's a place known to me. And then they talk about one beautiful girl, one beautiful young lady who was very popularly called as the Silver Maiden. So they talk about that Silver Maiden. Yes, I remember there was a Silver Maiden who was very, very pretty, and she lived in this castle, Marisela. So, and they understand that they both Laura and Gonzalo, know this silver maiden in common. So they understand, and by the talks that they have, by the names that they have, they talk about, they understand that yes, they can hunt out, they can think out about their two identities. Laura recognizes that this could be Gonzalo, and Gonzalo also realizes that the silver maiden whom they are talking about is none other than Laura. They start talking about one person, again the silver maiden. Let us go back to the flashback and say, this silver maiden had a very tragic life. That is what the conversation between the two people start. They go back in their years back, and they get nostalgic, and they start speaking about their youth. Okay. Then Gonzalo says, yes, silver maiden had a kind of tragic life, and she was very pretty. Though she was very pretty and she stayed in the castle, she was very commonly, her name was Laura Lorente was her name, and both of them, yes, that is the name, and they start. So they start, and Gonzalo says, yes, the tragedy that happened in Laura's life was that she was in love, madly in love with a gentleman, with a nice man, handsome man, and that he is described. That young man is described with all these things. He was very handsome. He rode on a horseback, and every day it was his job to throw a bouquet of flowers into the castle of the window of the castle where Laura Lorente she would stand. So the man had no other job but to throw the bouquet of flowers into the castle's window, and when he came back the same path in the evening, that bouquet of flowers was again thrown back to this young gallant lover, and therefore there was a kind of crush, there was a kind of love between the two. So the story continues, and it says, yes, this was opposed by the silver maidens or Laura Lorente's parents. They wanted Laura to get married to a merchant. Instead of this young gallant lover, it was supposed to be a merchant whom she was supposed to get married to. Laura is against it. This Gonzalo this young man also is against it. So it happens that during sunrise one day, this young man, he comes, he has a fight. He has a fight with this merchant, and there is this kind of quarrel, a small quarrel between the two, a verbal quarrel between the two, and this quarrel leads to a duel. A duel is a fight which people do for kind of honor, and both of them, they will use weapons to settle down the quarrel. It's not to kill each other. Their intention is not to kill each other, but their intention is to settle down the fight with the help of weapons. So they have a kind of duel, and in this duel, by mistake, Gonzalo happens to kill the merchant, and the merchant is dead. He doesn't know what to do, and therefore he just runs away from that place. So runs away that's what is known to both of them. Gonzalo, this young man, he runs away from the place. She also understands that after accidental killing of this merchant by Gonzalo, even he runs away. That is what is known. And later on, they develop their own stories. They have a lot of fake and lies in their stories. Gonzalo, he says, yes, after that, he went away. All this narration is told to Laura as if he is the third person, and he knows it because of his cousin who was given all the information to him. It seems this gallant lover, he runs away to Spain, and in Spain he just has that he joins, he goes to Spain, and from there he goes to Africa. Then he becomes a soldier. He holds the Spanish flag in his hand, and while fighting, he just falls in a pit, and then he just tells Laura's name, the silver maiden's name, and he breathes his last. That is the made-up story told by Gonzalo. So Laura also, she doesn't, want to stay behind in lying. So she says, in fact, Gonzalo himself, he just provokes Laura, asks, God knows what would have happened to this lady. Maybe she got married. Women are very quick in forgetting their ex-lovers. That's what he gives a comment. And Laura is saying, no, this Silver Maiden was not like that. She was also very fond of this young gallant lover, and so she spent most of her days like that. So both of them start patching up their mistakes. Both of them want to glorify their deaths. So she says, no, Laura, according to the play, Laura's cousin's friend, she had written a letter and she had mentioned all these things. So according to her, that young Silver Maiden, she spent many days in remembrance of this young gallant lover. She didn't know how to spend time. So one day, in her desperate feeling of dejection and loss of this gallant lover, she sits on a beach in a stone, on a big stone on the beach, and she started writing Gonzalo's name, and Gonzalo's name is written there. The waves, they start coming, they rise to such heights that one big wave, it washes away the Silver Maiden, and Gonzalo's name is written there on the sand. So Silver Maiden is washed away, is taken back into the sea, and she meets her death. And the fishermen also who were there, they could not trace back her body, and after many days they find that this woman, this Silver Maiden, is dead. So Laura also doesn't want to be left behind in glorifying her death. On one hand we have Gonzalo, who glorifies, who puts himself into army, and he says he died because of this army and all those things. Laura also, she never goes back in glorifying her death. Glorifying one's death, glorifying one's funeral has to be very neatly understood by Gonzalo and by Donna Laura. Both of them glorify their death in a very fantastic manner, and both of them are very happy that they have not disclosed their identity to the other person in front of them. But each one of them have understood that the other person is the same person whom they know very well. So I mean to say, in very simple words, Gonzalo knows it is Laura who he is speaking to. Both of them have not spoken, they have not introduced themselves giving their names, but Gonzalo is very much aware with all, because of all the details that she has given of her past days. He is very much aware that this is Laura at any cost. And Laura also, she is very clear, very sure that the person whom he is talking about, that gallant lover who came on horseback, all the fine details that is given by him, she is very sure that it has to be Gonzalo himself. So both of them, we are seeing in the play, we see that both of them, they talk aside. She says, no, see, my funeral, I glorified it in a better way. And Laura also, she says, you can't leave behind me, leave me behind. You can't glorify your death better than what I have done. So my funeral was glorified in a better way. And there is a lot of humor in it. So after these two things, they have understood each other. They have in fact found their love in these two people. They have realized that they are their former lovers. So they just move ahead. So they just want to talk about what is happening. But again, it is not told to us. At present, after all this episode of the gallant lover, this man, he just marries another ballet dancer, and he completely forgets about Laura Lorente. Laura also was she doesn't want to disclose, but she also, after 2 or 3 years, completely forgets about the gallant lover. She also gets married, and she lives, she has a very happy married life. So these two things are told to us, not to each other, not to the other two characters. So after that, it's time for both of them to get back home, and Gonzalo calls his help, his assistant Juanito, and Laura, she calls her assistant Petra. Both of them come and they are ready to move. Petra, when she comes back, she has a bouquet of violet flowers in her hand, small, wild flowers, not a ready bouquet or something, a bunch of flowers she has, and she comes in a very shy manner. She says, "These are the ones that was given to me by my friend." Her friend was the guard, so she says, "The guard gave it to me," and then she gives this and she hands out a few flowers to Laura. She says, "This is again given to you, madam, senorita, given to you by the guard." So she holds this bouquet. She's very happy that she's got this, and they both want to move away. Before parting, they both decide, Gonzalo and Laura, in their 70s, they decide to meet the next day also. So they have decided next day also they'll be meeting, but only one condition is that if the sun is still bright and very nice that day, they would be definitely meeting. So they are very good friends now. They have many things in common. In fact, they know each other very well. So he says, "Okay, fine, I'll get you a pinch of snuff, and I'll also get breadcrumbs for your pigeons." And Laura, she's again, she heartily laughs at it. She says, "Okay, fine, the seat next to me in the bench over there, it will be empty. You can come and you can sit on the bench. Both of us will have a nice talk." So both of them are very good friends. They patch up and then they are ready to part. So, since it is a play, we can understand that Laura exists from one side, Gonzalo also exists from one side. So while they are moving with, both of them are old, they want their assistants to hold them. They are leaning on their helps, and then they're just moving out. Laura purposely, she just drops down few flowers and then she just moves away. Gonzalo has to get back from the other side. He is not able to walk properly, but he knows that it is his love. It is his love, Laura Llorente, and with great difficulty he bends down, picks up the flowers. When he is picking up the flowers, Laura turns back and notices. So that is when she realizes, yes, it is him. It has to be him and nobody else, because he also is aware that it is Laura. So that conceals and that really patches up their love. So that ends the play. There ends the play, in which both of them are aware of each other's identity. Each of them are very happy. Both of them are very happy that their lost friend has come back. Whether it is a lost love or lost friend, whatever it is, a person whom you know very well years ago, when a person comes back to you, when you get that friendship back, you're very happy, you're really excited to talk many things. So that point of view can be seen here. Both of them are very happy having met each other. They want more and more, time to be spent together. They want more and more talk to happen. So their exits, both of them, one person dropping the flowers, the other person picking up the flowers, and then they just look at each other and just try to move away. They are convinced that their friends they have got back. So this is some brief summary of the play A Sunny Morning. Next we'll move on to the questions and answers. We'll have the question answer session in the next part.